That's probably because I came in slightly before you and I'm host, so I can
Okay.
set the recording, and I did.
Thanks, Katie. Do you think it's better to do introductions in the chat or probably get talking about
Like with
AG stuff?
informal, we can do a quick round robin. I think most people seem somewhat regular, but not everyone is. So it might be good to do a bit of round robin intros quickly.
Well, I can go first. I think it'd be good if everyone introduced themselves and then also maybe said a highlight of the week so far or the past week or something like that. But if I haven't met you yet, I am the new Clean coordinator. My name's Gina. And I would say I'm just feeling good about getting ready for AGU. And quick plug, I worked hard on creating a Google Doc for all of the seemingly climate change education relevant sessions at AGU if anybody's going. So I'll drop a link in the chat to that. So I'm just feeling ready and good about that. If anyone else wants to go next. I'll popcorn it to Frank.
And there's only one of us here today, so that makes it less confusing. Okay, I'm Frank Granshaw, Portland, Oregon, and involved with a whole number of groups here locally and enjoying a unique experience on these calls, which is being able to talk to somebody who's only down the street from me, which is Rick.
Right. Pretty great, Frank. Does that mean I should go next down the street?
That would probably work well.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Rick Reynolds. I'm the founder of Engaging Every Student. We're an organization that works with partners to develop impactful environmental education resources. And one thing I'm excited about right now is a new video game we're working on with partners. I see Wendy here from the American Meteorological Society is a partner, and we have lots of other partners. If folks are interested, I can send you more information, but it's going to run through the water cycle and ways that it's changing now, and ways we can make a difference to help get the extreme weather situation under control. Yeah, that's one fun project I'm working on, along with a bunch of other ones to keep it interesting. So nice to meet everybody. I'll pass it along to Katie, who's somebody I've just emailed so far.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Boyd, the Clean Program Manager, and I otherwise work at Series Education and Outreach. Nice to see quite a group today. Let's see, what am I feeling good about? Feeling somewhat prepared for AGU, hopefully, and then trying to get myself organized for leave I'm taking. I've mentioned this before. I don't know if everybody was on the call, but I'm due to have a baby in early January. So I'm going to be taking maternity leave January through March. And I'm just, trying to get everything organized and set up for Gina to really kind of run the show while I'm out on Clean, and the other couple folks who work on Clean with us at Series as well to kind of take over. So, trying to get them organized with all the things that I do on Clean before that. And I'm actually feeling okay about it, feeling like I can hopefully get all the things on my to-do list done before I actually leave, assuming no one decides to pop out early. So that's where I'm at this week.
I can go. I'm Ginger Wireman. I'm worked for the nuclear waste program at the Department of Ecology and don't officially do climate work, but I do it on the side when I can. And I'm connected with our local sustainability efforts. And actually, after horrifying local elections this round, we're talking about maybe trying to do some citizens convenings and doing a citizen-based local climate action plan, because our elected leadership is climate deniers and realtors, basically. You want a popcorn, Seth? How about you?
Sure, thanks, Ginger. Hi all, I'm Seth Spencer. I'm the Teach Climate Network Coordinator for Climate Generation in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And yeah, just working on our December youth leadership programs for December, and then getting ready for the Summer Institute for Climate Change Education. I'll probably talk about some of those events a bit later, but I'll popcorn it over to Eric.
Great, thanks much. Eric Havel, Community Resources for Science in the Bay Area, California. Actually, I won't be too greedy, but have 3 things to share. One is looking forward to the upcoming AGU workshop, delivering on a panel with Katie, Frank, and team, workshop week after next. So kind of working on that, but feeling a little frantic, trying to figure it all out. Still need to upload it, the pre-recorded session. So working on that. So any guidance today would be great. 2 other things. I'll put a link in chat to a global warming, pun intended, workshop that I'll be leading on Thursday. You're all invited. It's free. And it's an hour-long workshop. We're doing a lot of these, been doing a lot of these over the last year and a half. And the third thing is, after kind of getting that uploaded video done, I've got a birthday weekend coming up in Mendocino County. So taking off on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and going up into the redwoods and enjoying some outdoor time. I will popcorn it over to Colleen.
Hey, good morning, all. Colleen Fisk. I'm the Education Director for Renewable Energy Alaska Project, a nonprofit. Up here, I'm on Denina lands, Benta, which is the land of the lakes, among the lakes where I live right now. And good thing, let's see, this is like, I have a little bit of a breather in my crazy work right now, which I will take and appreciate. Feel like I'm able to catch up on things. And we have a fundraiser for my virtual fundraiser for my nonprofit Thursday night, which I'm looking forward to. And yeah, had a great teacher training last month. Is another really awesome thing that we had, virtual teacher training, and starting to plan some more for the spring. So I will, let's see, I know I came on a little late. Wendy, did you already go? Okay, I'll popcorn over to Wendy.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. Wendy Abshire. I'm the Education Program Director for the American Meteorological Society. I'm sitting in my office in DC as opposed to my Colorado office, which most of you have seen me in for a while. We are downsizing our footprint, as are many people nationwide, as they've learned we can work from home. So it's getting a little bare around here. Final move out date's the end of the month, end of January. But with the holidays and the AMS annual meeting and AGU, it might as well be tomorrow. So the thing that I'm feeling good about is I have been doing an extraordinary amount of travel, mostly work, a little bit of personal. And I managed to get my Christmas tree up and decorated, and I've managed 2 batches of Christmas cookies, and I got my AGU talk uploaded on Sunday. So I'm not feeling ready for AGU, but at least I'm over that hurdle, and now I can turn my attention to the many talks that I have to record and upload for the AMS annual meeting. So, yeah, I feel like I'm in a marathon, and I'm neither winning nor losing, and I'll take it. So if that's my celebration, that's the way it is. Let's see, I'm looking at who's on my screen. Patrick, James, are you the only 2 left that haven't gone? James, you often end up last because I don't know, because you're on the second screen or something. So James, why don't you go?
Okay, thank you, Wendy. So James Callahan, climatechangeeducation.org, and let's see, I'll highlight also mentor for teachers of students of climate change. What is it? Climate Club DC, who are part of the Bright Stars program at AGU, and their focus will be on how they've studied AGU science and turned it into climate action, as in the pictures behind me. On the nice developments are feeling good. Among our climate partners locally in DC and Montgomery County, Maryland, not only, of course, working with the Montgomery County itself, the Department of Environmental Protection, but now the public schools of Montgomery County have now scheduled a youth climate summit. So it's catching up quite a bit on like what we do in California. So that'll be in early March. So very good that we can do that, and that's going to be great for our students who are Montgomery County Public School students who have been doing climate action for 4 years now, to have a more social environment to work in. So absolutely looking forward to AGU discussion and as the conference opens up the last couple of days. Thanks. And let's see, so that would mean Patrick. So Patrick, let's make sure you're never Patrick last but not least, Patrick.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, it's good to see you all. It's been a minute. I had to pop out and make the final push on my dissertation that I turned in last week and defend next week. So woohoo! And that's pretty much my news as of late. For those of y'all who don't know me, I am a PhD candidate at the University of Colorado focused on art science partnerships to catalyze community action on environmental issues. Yeah. So
And
I'll leave
I'm
it
going
there.
to jump in because I want to seg that into a little discussion about Patrick. Patrick spent the last, was it 3 years, 4 years, Patrick? Yeah, I think it was 4 years as the Clean Fellow, starting with ESIP, who we had a sort of fellowship program through ESIP for a couple of years, and then transitioned to, we were able to fund him through some NOAA funds to continue that work, being the Clean Fellow, and really took on the role of Clean Network Coordinator through all of that and really made it its own thing. I think, we had student fellows through ESIP before Patrick. And of course, I wasn't here, so I didn't necessarily see, but I will just commend Patrick in terms of how much he really did and helped organize and coordinate things through the Clean Network here for at least the last 3 years that I've been here and have seen, and really took it to, I think, a different level beyond just sort of sending reminders about calls and being on calls to really help organize a lot of the workshops that we did at AGU and the ACE panel facilitation and discussions that we did last year, and really pushing a lot on sort of Clean Network to move more into action and keep arts involved, and just so many things that you've brought to the table, Patrick. And yeah, he is graduating. Congrats on getting your PhD or your dissertation turned in, and good luck on your defense next week. You'll have to send me the link. Try and if it's virtual, maybe try and have some Clean folks attend if we can. But yeah, so I just really wanted to kind of commend Patrick. He had to take off and really focus on his dissertation this semester. Right after we transitioned, we hired Dina, and he had only had plans to really stick around through the beginning of this semester. So we did that transition, and Patrick couldn't really be on calls and for a little while there. So I asked him to come back, and just wanted to sort of give a big shout out and say thank you, Patrick. And we really appreciate everything you've done for Clean, and he's hoping to stick around and be a part of the Clean Network in the future as he works to transition. But yeah, was really focused this semester on some other stuff. So thanks for joining us again, and we're happy to see you, and good luck next week. And yeah, I'm going to just leave it there and throw it out and see if anybody else wants to say anything about Patrick, who is just awesome.
Seems like Patrick wants to move on.
Yeah, I'm good. Plenty said. I'll be around, but appreciate y'all. And yeah, it was a good run there. Maybe the longest running Clean Fellow. So
You were definitely that. That's for sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure even the ones before, I don't think were that long. So, I mean, even ESIP fellowship only went for 2 years, and I know Johanna was here for a while before that, but I don't think she quite did the 4 or so years that you did. So, what are your plans? Do you have any thoughts? Are you going to take some time off after your PhD, or are you do you have anything lined up, or?
I started to get the push kind of in October of people being like, oh, these positions are opening up. And I was like, yeah, I'm busy. And thinking about the dissertation itself. And I don't know, I'm going to try a different tactic this time after I finish my PhD and go ahead and teach next semester a creative climate communications course, which I love. And then while doing that, take a broader look into the space of art science partnerships and climate communication in that realm to see who's doing what and where, because I really would like to work with a team of people that's connected to that realm of work rather than jump into random positions that come up. So kind of gonna take a step back and explore the space, hang out with my daughter a little bit, who is 7 months old, and just settle in, take a deep breath.
That sounds really great, and I'm glad you can teach to kind of help with that transition. So, well, good luck with that. We all appreciate you, and yeah, we hope you'll show up on the clean calls as you can. Then hopefully your teaching schedule will allow it for next semester, and excited to watch what you do next. So thanks for being here, and thanks for everything you've done for Clean. We just really appreciate you, and I just wanted to take a little time on a call to really actually acknowledge it and thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Cool. Thanks, Patrick. We're like ships in the night crossing, but it sounds like everything you did before me was really amazing, and got a lot of people here who loved having you around. So very cool, and congratulations. I love climate change communication. I was at George Mason before this with their climate change communication masters, and it was really amazing, and I love that field. So yay, climate change communication. Cool. And then so I think we can do announcements, and I'm sorry if anyone here isn't going to AGU, because we'll probably talk about that for most of the rest of the call. I myself have an announcement. The Clean and the ACE team, so Frank Leopold and all the other folks who have been involved with ACE and Clean are going to be leading a workshop at AGU. It's on Wednesday, and I'm going to put a link in the chat. So if you're at AGU, please join us on Wednesday. And also, I'm trying to help organize a meetup for people who are there attending in person, which will also probably be on Wednesday. So if you attend in person, let me know. I'm actually going to be going virtually, but again, we're working with the ACE folks and Frank Leopold, and he really thinks it would be helpful if we had a social kind of in-person gathering for people who are AGU. So let me know if you're going in person and would be interested. Some people have already let me know, so thank you. And I'll put
Somehow I got confusing information about
the
workshop, about whether it's online or in person or both.
It is online only.
Okay. So if we're at EGU, are we supposed to sit in our hotel rooms and participate in the workshop?
I guess so.
As far as we understand it, yes, we're a little confused about that as well. But there is a contingent of folks going in person to AGU. Frank, Anna, and some other, there might be another person or two from the group kind of running the workshop. with on the from the A side as well. I think Deb's going in person possibly. So I think there may be some discussion around, you know, finding a space, or because it's also in the middle of the day, so it's hard to kind of like get back somewhere. So Frank was talking about trying to do it from the convention center, maybe trying to find a room or a space. So I'm sure there'll be some flurry of conversations through the Clean Network email list about that, but that would be another reason to let Gina know if you're going in person for the in-person meetup, because I think then they could potentially just grab a list of folks who are there to try to communicate with about things like that. But I won't be there in person, so I don't know exactly what's happening with that. And of course, Frank's not here today to give us a little more insight, but I do know he, you know, he talked about trying to do it from the space, right?
Yeah, and I'll let him know, Wendy, about that, because I think he really, yeah, it's very COVID messy. I think he wants to get people, as many people from Clean and Ace together as possible. So I'll talk to him about it and see. Hopefully you'll hear something from one of us soon about it. But yeah, I put the link to the workshop in the chat, and do let me know if anyone else is going in person. Any other announcements?
I have one. I've mentioned it before, but I'm just going to mention it again. We have a webinar tomorrow for Clean, focused on elementary teachers, and this is being facilitated by Jessica Bean, who runs the Understanding Global Change project. And so really looking at ways to engage younger students in sort of earth systems thinking processes. So check it out if you're interested, or share it around to anyone you think might be interested.
Yeah, Frank. Oh, sorry, Wendy. Didn't mean to cut you off. I was typing. Frank G, if you want to go.
Okay, one of these days I'll learn how to unmute my audio. Yeah, well, I stuck a question in the chat, and probably this got answered while I was busy typing, but I'm really, two things. First of all, I'm really curious who here is going to be going virtually versus who's going to be going in person. And number two, just to make the virtual aspect a little bit less lonely, I'm just wondering if there might be an interest in having a coffee during an online coffee amongst those of us who are going virtually.
That's a great idea. Is anyone else going virtually? Eric is, me, Katie, Colleen. Okay.
Yeah, I bet there will be a pretty good virtual component or contingent. And I was thinking about that too, Frank. I'm glad you brought it up, because I think it's a good idea also. I was just trying to decide kind of how and when to do it. And I was thinking about, so there's the workshop on Wednesday of next week. So we could do it around that. There's also the Clean, like, poster session that we usually have as sort of a networking space and time. So that's like Thursday afternoon. And I have one of the discussion sessions for virtual poster reserved for sort of right before and into the front of that poster session. So that's another time I was thinking about, was either before or like during the beginning of that. I don't know, do people have preference or thoughts? And I can always offer this Clean link, this Zoom, as a space we can get together and do that. So I don't know if people on the call, maybe I just thought it'd be easier to talk about today and ask if anybody has a preference for sort of a Wednesday or a Thursday time frame on that.
popped in the chat that we added a session at the request of an attendee last year for one of the conferences I was involved with. He was there on a scholarship. He's like, I really want to get more networking time. So after the closing ceremony, we added a thing, and it was like 3:30 in the afternoon. So people actually were sitting there with glasses of wine and beer. But if you plan it now, but advertise it in the session, then people who don't know about it ahead of time, you can always throw the link in. If you do it after, then the people that are in the session.
That's a really good point. I think the posters go until like 5 p.m. on Friday, though, my time, which is like 7 p.m. Eastern on Friday. So that probably gets a little late for people to do it kind of afterwards. But that's a good point that perhaps we could go for Thursday, like near or around the poster session time, and advertise it in our workshop on Wednesday, as well as the oral session that's attached to that poster session Thursday morning, and kind of give people a little bit more. But yes, that's a thought. I like that. But thanks, Ginger. James, are you raising your hand to say something about this?
Yeah. It would be looking at last year, and I don't see any sign this year to be any different, is, of course, we want to be respectful of AGU. When people have a conference, they have the money. We're not trying to have a whole lot of stuff on the outside, or certainly a big publicized thing. But I also thought, we also found that as long as it's informal and not too big, I don't think AGU ruffled any feathers. So speaking from like our students at Lowell School, we were able to meet with scientists informally just on Zoom, and that was just wonderful. Right, the kids during AGU were talking with scientists, and it was cranky uncle people of skeptical science and so on. So it was really good. And I think one of the ones is just through AGU, you just meet people, right? You just meet people, and it's a good chance to chat. What I would want to be able to do is, if we meet scientists or other educators, to encourage them to just kind of come into the Clean Network, right? To see joining the network and doing the calls. And I guess what I'm getting at is, if this doesn't undo the balance, if there are just informal Zoom calls that happen, maybe a couple. One is, I know with AGU it's just overwhelming, right? It's like 17 hours a day. There's something going on, and to ask for people to have more time, maybe that's a reason to kill this. But if there's a few Zoom calls throughout the week that just informal, where we can just bring people in to meet other people from Clean, I know we would find them. So I don't know. I guess what I'm just getting at is just the informal way to kind of connect and do things is live is quite good, and using the AGU system isn't always the best way to do that. So.
Yeah, it's a really good point. That's why I was thinking using this Zoom link. I think we're still having a Clean call next week. I'm pretty sure it's informal drop in, and there's like a session I want to probably leave a little early for, but I'm planning to be there for the first part of the Clean call at least. So that's definitely a space we can let people know about for Tuesday, and then maybe doing this on Thursday afternoon, and using the same link. So it's open. It's not through AGU. You don't have to be registered, but then people can let others know about it when they're at AGU. I think that's a really great idea. So yeah, I'll send an email through the Clean Network about this as well. But I think that sounds like a good plan. Maybe trying for letting people know about the Clean call Tuesday, and then going for a time on Thursday that's kind of nearish to that poster session. So those are my thoughts, at least.
Frank G, is that getting at what you had hoped for a meetup and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's getting there. One of the things I'm going to do is go the opposite direction of what Jim was mentioning here in terms of AGU channels. My experience with AGU last year and COP26 this year was that there were a number of official sort of networking spaces that you dial into and nobody was using them. And I'm just wondering, rather than our trying to reinvent the wheel, if there might be something there already that we can capitalize on.
Yeah, and that's in the past what we've used. Sorry, I know Eric has his hand up too, but I'm just going to jump in and sort of say that in the past, what we've used for networking is that in-person sort of informal meetup. And that's where I'm trying to kind of do virtual informal meetup too. And then the poster session was sort of another space that we've used for networking in the past. And that Thursday afternoon poster session goes for 2 hours, and it's supposed to be hybrid. And I'm not sure exactly how it works for us virtual folks to like, zoom into that. But that's where I set up the chat session, and there's the discussion session for virtual posters is happening at the very beginning of that poster session. And that is advertised. It's on the AGU schedule. It is in their like poster chats discussion. And I put a link to it on the actual poster session itself on the AGU schedule. So that's another place that I was planning to use for some amount of networking through more official channels. So there'd be some time, but I'm not expecting to use the whole hour for sort of, if everybody on the poster gives sort of 5 minutes, talk about their poster and a couple of questions, there's still sort of half the time or so that can be used towards just general discussion and networking. And from there, if we need more time, we can jump somewhere else. But yeah, I still have to kind of figure out exactly how we're all supposed to be able to jump into the poster session virtually. I think it's just through iPoster. So that's where we can kind of give the Zoom space from the clean, because you can only do the one through the AGU official. So I think just kind of trying to mush those two things together in that same time could potentially give us the official and a little more unofficial and informal virtual space. So hopefully that kind of addresses it, Frank, but we can talk about it offline too, or through email as well.
Eric, do you want to add anything? Your hand up.
Thanks, Gina. Yeah, just sort of echoing these ideas of support, given that I'll be going virtually. And I think the numbers that they shared were 10,000 people will be there in person and another 12,000 will be attending virtually. So it's over half. So I think that's, and it feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, those of you that have been recently, I went in San Francisco, but probably 10, 15 years ago to a couple rounds of them, but more as just a participant, not as a presenter. But it feels like, unlike COP, that the virtual platforms are a little more dialed in. I mean, COP felt like they were challenged. Glasgow was sort of, trying to figure things out with a UN framework that's trying to deal with the whole world and every level of technology you can imagine or lack of. So it feels like this is more robust, but I'm just curious about your thoughts on that piece, everybody. And then the other thing would be just logistically, to go to sessions virtually, is it the process to sign up for each one of them? So kind of going in, setting up your own personal calendar so that then they send you Zoom links. Is that everyone's understanding about how that works? It's not like just a drop in if you're registered type of thing, or maybe it is. So just curious about any thoughts on that.
Was your question about just actually attending each session, you mean? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, the way I've been doing it is like things I want to attend, I'm adding to my schedule so I don't have to like search for them every time. And then on the program, and then when it's next week, just trying to go in to my schedule, and then each of these should have, when it's time to join, a like live Zoom link. So yeah, you have to kind of get yourself into the room, is how I understand it. I think that's how it worked last year. And so I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to work this year. In terms of the whole hybrid thing, we'll see, because the people in person will just go to the room and be there in person. And then I think there's, basically a tech person kind of running things in the room and virtually. And so I think we're all going to sort of be in the same session as far as I'm aware, but we'll just see it, from the Zoom perspective. So I don't know exactly how that's all going to work. But yes, from what I understand and what happened last year, you just have to kind of bookmark the sessions you want to attend. And when it's time, just sort of click on whatever link shows up to join it. Unless someone else remembers differently from last year, that's what I thought happened.
This is my first AGU, so I'm curious to see how it all goes. It was especially difficult this year with it being hybrid. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna figure out what's happening when it's happening.
So is this free, AGU?
Say that again?
Is it free?
No.
No, okay.
No, and actually this was the first year too. I don't know if this got brought up in the Clean Network ever, but the last few years they've allowed educators to register for free. So like teachers, and they actually included informal educators in that. So some of us on Clean were able to jump on that if you're in an informal education setting or institution. But this year they actually even limited that. So for educators, there's still very reduced registration costs, but they did charge $50 for educators this year. So yeah, it was not free for almost anyone. I think Indigenous tribal members could get free registration, and I think some student categories could, but otherwise everyone had to pay at least some small amount. And that's the other frustrating thing that I know Frank would be on his soapbox about with the workshop that's happening on Wednesday. In the past, we've been able to open that up to people from outside of AGU, because we, even when it was in person in the conference, we were able to get people passes for the day. Or one year he just kind of stood at the security space or where the security kind of started happening, where they were checking badges, and just told the security people to let people in for our workshop. He's very adamant about trying to make sure the workshop is very open to anyone, not just people who are registered for AGU. But because they made it all virtual this year, they really just said no. Like usually most years Frank can kind of try to convince someone to let us let people in somehow or another, but yeah, they just really said no this year and aren't allowing us to have anyone attend the workshop who's not otherwise registered for AGU, which is too bad. But that's why I think it'll be important to have some of these other spaces. So yeah, Frank, I totally agree. Having some of the within AGU system stuff is important. And I think having some spaces too for people who aren't attending AGU will be important as well, to still kind of keep climate literacy going with folks who aren't at the conference as well.
Wendy, you were, I think, going to say something a while ago, but your camera's off, so she might be eating or something.
I'm right here.
Sorry.
And I wasn't. It was a leftover open mic from speaking previously, but thank you so much for being caring and attentive enough to have remembered and noticed.
It's been like 20 minutes, so
it's all good. And I've been listening to the mystery that will be the hybrid meeting that is AGU, and AMS is facing all the same things, doing a fully hybrid meeting, smaller meeting, but still a very large meeting, but with fewer staff and resources to pull it off, but also a little more preparation and ability to learn from AGU going first. I mean, obviously all of our decisions have been made, but I think despite what people might think, geoscience societies and meetings departments and education departments collaborate and try to really support each other, because it's a unique gig. So we'll see how it all goes. We were supposed to exhibit at AGU. We have always exhibited at AGU. And in this weird hybrid world, that didn't really happen either. Then our program has a virtual booth to try to get the word out about our programs. Not expecting a lot of traffic, and I'll be boots on the ground. So we'll see how it goes.
Good luck.
For all of us.
Yeah. Are there any other AGU sessions that anyone is either organizing or particularly interested in or wanting to go to?
I wanted to ask Katie real quick. Did you see that there is a session on geoscience education research being organized by Kristen St. John?
Oh, I didn't notice it was organized by her, but I did see that one, and it's on my it's on my calendar, my schedule. I'm definitely going to try to. I think it had a conflict with another one I was interested in, though. Let me see.
Yeah.
What was
I-
it? Oh,
I
yeah,
only know-
because I'm on an Arctic project right now, and it's like the Arctic education and outreach session is happening at the same time. So I'm trying to decide between
That's
those
a
two.
tough
But
conflict.
I know, right?
I only know
Uh,
about the geoscience one because AMS is a sponsor, which just means we're there to say we're interested in this topic. I actually have no duties.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see a little bit more of that research side of things at AMS and AGU. And yeah, speaking of which, you were saying, I'm going to change the topic from AGU for 1 second. Well, Wendy's just here. You were saying you're recording things for AMS. It kind of seemed like they still were having people do live talks, even virtually, or are we recording? I was a little confused. I
Oh,
assumed
well,
we were recording, but
I may work for AMS, but I'm not involved in the meetings
Yeah.
part. And I honestly have not yet opened the email that says what I have to do for all my talks. Because I
Gotcha. Okay.
recorded AGU Sunday and I flew yesterday.
yeah,
So
you're totally fine. I
soon-
just was
soon
like,
I will
oh,
find out what I
I was going to record something too, and then I pulled up the guidelines for presenters, and they made it seem more like it was an optional thing to do the recording, which I may do myself anyways. But anyways, no worries that you don't know.
When
the
I
answer.
open that email, that's what I read, then I'm gonna be doing my happy dance from now till the end of time. I have many talks and the thought of doing all those recordings was making me not want to open the email. So we'll see what happens.
Well, check it out because I think you may not need to.
Yes. You may have made my day. I want to switch my happy thought, Gina, from the beginning of the meeting.
Nice. Frank, put your hand up.
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, Wendy, when is Kristen's talk? I missed that one.
Let me go see if I can find it.
Okay. And while we're on the topic of recording, how much of what AGU records in these situations is available afterwards? Not only for me, for things that I wasn't able to get to, but I'm also just looking at it from the point of view of having students have access to some of the content that comes across.
I don't know. I think for the most part, you have to be registered to have access to the recordings of things. And I think, and I don't know, last year they only had it open for a couple months. I feel like other conferences I've been to have it open for a while, but AGU really was only through like February or something like that. So I don't know the answer to that specifically though.
If I might mention on that one, Frank, too, I've seen I'm reading things about it that looks like it's way more open in the past, but I kind of find I have to read things 2-3 times and see them from different ones that like, or maybe this is more that I think it's like February 22nd, they're going to have a lot of the sessions played, so you can still see it. What I'm 99+% confident of is the posters are going to be way more open than ever before. That, as far as I can tell from being in the training sessions and have tried it out, if you have the link to a poster, it will be available to anybody with that link forever. Okay. Now the forever part, it might be hyperbole. That is the iPoster sessions people who have promised that the posters will be available until the day before the Earth disappears, when the sun turns supernova to a red giant. That's their promise to AGU. But what I'm getting is, I don't think you need to have any AGU credentials to actually, I believe, and this is the thing to test out, if you've got that link, you will get, it'll be just like an open web page. So that's enormously important it makes our posters much more important in that you can put it on Twitter, you can put it on your YouTube, your poster is up there. So that's what I'm seeing. And so, I mean, that's a big change. So that one, I want to make sure that doesn't get lost.
Did you have a thought on this, Eric, or was it a different topic? Oh, you're on mute. Can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. It's different, Gina. So if anyone wants to follow up on Jim's comments first, that's fine.
Okay. And Jim, I think you had your hand up about something else maybe too before that. Oh, you're on mute too. Can't hear you.
But sorry, no, I'm good, and I try to walk a fine line and not talk too much. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks for being mindful. Okay, I'll probably go to a different idea, Eric, if you have thoughts about something else.
Thanks, Gina. And it's more of a detailed question, so you can keep it brief, but it's kind of to Katie, to yours, and thank you, Gina, for that comprehensive list. That's super helpful because I was private messaging Katie, just getting clarification on a couple sessions. But so Katie, maybe this is for you. And it's to Wendy's point and anxiety about all these videos. So I was intending to create this video to upload about my piece today, and they're saying they can be up to 15 minutes. And so Katie, would you recommend that? Or should I not stress about that and just prepare for that 5-minute oral kind of piece during the session itself? And either's fine, because I was intending to kind of get that done today, but you're just curious about your thoughts and what would be valuable.
Yeah, I think, to some extent, there's no guarantee that everyone's going to watch the recording of the videos in advance and all of that, but that's really the main presentation. So I do think it's worthwhile getting that in. That's also something that will be there beyond, as Jim mentioned, like into that February time, that people can watch later if they don't. So I think it's important to try to get that in today and do that, and maybe focus on that for now. And then the 5-minute Q&A is much more of just having a slide or two, quick summary, and then answering questions from people.
I think there was also conference confusions. Katie's comments about not needing the 15-minute recording.
That was for
meeting.
AMS. Sorry to not clarify that better. Yes, that was for a different conference happening in January.
You are not off the hook, Eric.
Do your homework. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I usurped the conversation for a moment there for a different conference.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Gina, maybe I'll go ahead, if I can make a plug for something that I think is a development for all of us. Often we're disconnected from another part of the education section, which is the Bright Stars program. That is for middle school and high school students. And I'd like to think that we're opening that up as much more connected to clean, in that our students will have a session about climate action. And that's, I think, strategically very important for us, because there are students around the world, especially in Hong Kong, who do sessions on climate change. And this switch to not just study climate change, but to take action. This is an important place, a forum and a place to engage people. So the Bright Stars session is hopefully going to take a real advance this year. So that's ED45B. B as in boy.
Any other thoughts about AGU? It is 11:52, so we wanted to call it, but I don't want to cut anyone off.
So who's oh, did we come to a consensus about virtual meeting? Or who's tackling that to figure
Or
it
in person.
out?
Yeah, I
It's
think
only a week away.
I think for in-person sort of informal meetup, email Gina and she's going to connect you with Frank and some of the other folks who are there in person. For virtual, I'll send an email out to the Clean Network and I can organize that and we can do it through the poster session and then in here. So it'll be Thursday afternoon. And
Okay.
I'll just kind of pick a time, probably
Okay.
somewhat even during the poster session, because I think to some extent, or right after it or something like that. So if you have a preference on time for Thursday afternoon, email me. And
Okay.
otherwise, I'll just pick something around then.
All right. Thanks, Katie.
Jim wants to hear more from Rick because he's new today and he's had to listen to our AGU banter. Are you going to AGU,
Okay,
Rick?
hi everybody. It's great to hear what you've all been working on, and yeah, it's nice to connect. Of course, Wendy, I got to connect with you at the NSTA conference, so that was fun. And now I know Frank that's in Portland here too, and the rest of you all sound like you're doing amazing work. And I know Ginger from other circles. Climate change is maybe 10% of what I work on, but I would like it to be 100% of what I work on, because I feel like if we don't figure out that issue, all those other things we care about are not going to matter by the time it's time for us to retire and our kids in our lives to try to enjoy their lives and stuff. And so I just appreciate all this work, and I'm excited to be doing more of the work with this game I'm starting to work on. But I've worked with a lot of different partners. For example, the National Park Service on different curriculum projects. I did one on the Ice Age floods. If anybody's interested in the Ice Age floods, you can get that free through my Engaging Every Student website. I'm working with NOAA now on a bunch of ocean exploration projects. Bioluminescence is a topic we finished with lesson plans and fact sheets and other resources. My wife Krista works with me. And we work with other partners too, subcontractors and other partners. Yeah, we've just done a lot of different types of projects. Shape of Life, I sent a link to a lesson plan I did with them on using arts with climate change. They're kind of an offshoot of the Monterey Bay Aquarium, if you're not familiar with them. And they have a lot of nice little videos that teach about the ocean, and they also care a lot about climate change. So they're doing some more with that as well. So those are just kind of a few of the projects I've worked on. Been doing this for almost 30 years now. Started as a K-12 teacher, was a classroom teacher for over 12 years and worked in educational software for a while. And for the last 13 years now, I've been doing Engaging Every Student and just trying to figure out all the different ways to do that with the focus on environmental education, because it sort of is the foundation of everything. We need to get these environmental challenges worked out, and it's fun to do it with partners. Any questions?
There's
Okay, well,
one in the chat for specifics. Do you have your crayfish pictures handy?
oh yeah, crayfish too. So that's another passion. We try to get the kids out in the stream, seeing what native and invasive crayfish they find. They're also a really good indicator of water quality, and they're impacted by climate change as well. So there are a lot of different kind of inroads once we get the kids hooked on crayfish and seeing what's happening in their nearby nature. So I can drop a link to the crayfish curriculum I helped to create. That's from the River Mile Network, which is an offshoot of the National Park Service. And we have online training if you'd like to get involved, and there's other resources as well. So yeah, thanks, Ginger. Crayfish.
All right, Deb, what did you do? What did you do to your arm? Or what did your arm do to you?
Yeah, sorry, my sound is coming in and out a little bit. Yeah. Broken hand.
Must be in an airport.
No, in Starbucks, just taking
Oh.
meetings while in transit today between COVID testing and flight. And, you know, it's just this chaos of trying to travel in the middle of a pandemic internationally. So I'm in Canada. So.
Oh. That's right. Bye, Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we do have a clean leadership board meeting after this, so it'd be good to give the few of us trying to do both a couple of minutes in between. So maybe we'll just end it there. Thanks, everyone. We will have Clean Call next week, and we'll hope to see you then, and we can continue the discussion around any of these things. And we won't for a couple weeks after that. So we hope to see some of you at ATU.
Nice to see y'all. I can't
Thanks,
join next
everyone.
week, but I'll try to get in the new year.
Yes,
Thanks a lot.
we'll see you
Sounds
then.
good.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Rick.
Everyone.
Katie, are we staying here?
Yes.
Okay.